Contents today in this session we are going to discuss. So just a few slides. First few slides we will be discuss about that basics of metaverse. I know basically you last 5 days you have come across different sessions. You maybe know about that, but anyway, for that background context, I will start with what is metaverse. Then I will move into that metaverse governance. Then we can see that there are different topics, key stakeholders in that metaverse governance, and what is the governance structure, then essential frameworks and regulatory challenges. See some case studies in metaverse governance. Finally, we see that future of metaverse governance. So these are the contents I'm planning to go through the today's session. So first, you know about the metaverse. So basically, the metaverse is an mixed form of that physical and digital world, right? So we are calling this metaverse as a virtual world. So in this virtual world, we are getting a lot of features like we are getting a lot of experience like immersive, interactive, and persistent environment where we can live, work, play, and socialize everything we can do like a real world, right? So using the digital world and the physical world, we are getting to that virtual world. So that is actually we are calling in a technical term as a metaverse. So basically, the metaverse is not a single platform. It is convergence of many technologies. Basically, it starts from that virtual reality, augmented reality, blockchain, artificial intelligence, and the latest technologies in the internet. Also, these are includes makes the metaverse possible nowadays. So these are the key features of the metaverse. So first one is the boundless. So here it is a 3D virtual realm. So the metaverse removes all the physical and virtual obstacles. So there is no limit to the number of users who can utilize it. So anyone can utilize that. So because it's a virtual space. So also it is a decentralized one. So because there is no owner for the particular virtual space. So there will be no single corporation or platform. So all the users can collaboratively participate and control the data exist in that metaverse, that virtual world. So also it cannot be disconnected. It cannot be rebooted. It is not. So we calling this as a persistent anytime, anywhere. So people can participate at any time from any location on the planet. So that is one of the feature of this persistent is one of the feature of the metaverse. Also, it has a different economic system. Also, in the real world, we are having economic system. Similarly, in the metaverse, there is an economic system will be there. So in the metaverse economic system, mainly we are using that cryptocurrency powered decentralized virtual economies. So mainly like bitcoins, the different types of bitcoins are the different tokens are there in the different platforms. So that we are using in that economic system of metaverse. So in this metaverse, that's a virtual world which gives that real immersive experience for us. So where all the human senses are more completely immersed, and we can engage in different activities when we are using that either virtual reality headset or augmented reality glasses, or simply using your smartphone also. So this is another one feature of that metaverse. Then we can see that social experiences we can virtually collaborate. So there will be we can interact with that AI driven avatars. So every member in a virtual world participate in and co-experience and creating the metaverse future. So these are the various key features of the metaverse. The technologies which power the metaverse, which you look on that, so there are different technologies. I am listing out some top technologies which used to make or power the metaverse. So these are the different technologies. So the first one we can look on that is that blockchain. So the main concept behind the metaverse is it is a decentralized nature. The backbone of the decentralization comes from that technology called as blockchain. So when we are entering into the metaverse or virtual world, so our entry is through this virtual reality or augmented reality devices. So it's like a launch pad to the metaverse. So also it having the AI play a predominant role making that are creating this metaverse. So there will be a magic of 3D technologies. It will be reconstructing the metaverse or virtual world. So finally, that IoT and metaverse. So these are that drivers which makes the or power the metaverse. The next we can see some of the platforms which is available in metaverse. So there are so many platforms there. So these are some of the few top platforms, metaverse platforms, which are very familiar with the users. You maybe you use that actually. So the Decentraland, Roblox, Meta is everyone we are having account and all. So formally it is called as a Facebook. Then sandbox. So when we are looking on this decentraland, so basically it is a blockchain based virtual world. So here it is like a land, right? So we can sell and build on virtual land. So that can be possible in this metaverse platform. In Roblox platform, it allows the users to create and play games. A lot of young users are attracting towards this type of metaverse platform, that meta horizon worlds. So this is that everyone we know about this meta, what actually in the Facebook what we are doing every day. Then sandbox is also one of the gaming platform. So similarly some other platforms also available. So these are some of the top platforms in metaverse. So when you go for the use cases and benefits of the metaverse, there will be a lot of use cases you come across in the last week of your adaptability. So these are some of the points which give that intuition about how much that metaverse is important nowadays. So much of tech, people or so much of applications, as a lot of companies have started using this metaverse for their particular application works. So when we are go with that metaverse, the first thing is the social interaction become very easy. So we can easily interact with that people who are in that virtual world. So that is that global social connectivity. There is no physical boundary at all. So we easily the people in which they are involved in the business, they can connect it to other people which involve the same business. So that's business networking. Also, it enhances the communication between different people beyond the boundaries. So that is one of the benefits and use cases mainly for a metaverse. So also it making transformation in work and with collaboration. So several economic opportunities when we are go with creating a metaverse world. So a lot of jobs are created. The digital economy is evolution is can happen. Decentralized finance. So a lot of opportunities come with respect to the economic aspects also. So when we go for the environmental impact, so it will be reduced to commuting, sustainable practices, lot of energy efficient methods which we are using, which we are doing in that metaverse or virtual world. So also some of other case studies and benefits are engaging that healthcare and wellness program, like a telehealth and remote diagnostics, and monitoring the health through virtually monitoring the health. Also getting the training related to the medical things and all. So that also possible when we use this metaverse. So this is another one of the use case of the metaverse. Then new level of experience when we are play usual gaming and usual entertainment gives one type of experience, but when we are go for the virtual world and using metaverse, so it will be giving lot of different feel, that is immersive gaming. So that is a content creation that also possible when that users which they are participating in this virtual world creation. So that revolution in education and training method. So mainly that thing is immersive experience we are getting when we go through this metaverse or virtual world. So mainly that why this metaverse matters so much nowadays is they creating a lot of economic opportunities. Currently, the metaverse is expected to become a multi-trillion dollar economy. So it will be offering so much of opportunities for businesses, creators, and investors. So also another one thing is social interaction. So it redefines how the people connected, basically collaborated and socialized, breaking the geographical barriers. So this is another one of the reason why we go behind this metaverse. Or the metaverse is so much important currently. That metaverse drives the innovation in technology, art, education, and entertainment. So digital ownership. So it's not a physical ownership; it is a digital ownership. So currently, that blockchain technology enables the true ownership of the digital assets which are available in that virtual world or in the metaverse. So it making empowering the users not like a physical ownership, right? So that is one of the reason this metaverse very popular. But even though these are the so much of benefits or so much of features which we are having in metaverse, same time there will be a lot of challenges when you are looking into this metaverse development. So some of the challenges listed out here is interoperability, scalability, realism and immersion, content creation, security and privacy, governance and regulation, ethical concern, economic models. So we will discuss these all things in detail in later of the slides. So mainly these challenges in the metaverse development, when we look on these challenges in the metaverse development, so one of the biggest challenge currently is called as governance and regulation. So the today's session topic is related to this governance. So from the next slide onwards, we are going to look into what about this metaverse governance. So this session mainly focusing on this metaverse governance. Also, I will let you know about these different challenges. Actually, what actually the problem with the currently the development of metaverse. So the challenges mainly, if you in brief, if you look into the brief of these challenges in the metaverse, so mainly the privacy and security of the data, because so much of users, they are putting the data or generating the data in that virtual world. So they can be easily attacked by that attackers, cyber attacks, or that is one of the critical concerns. So when they are putting their data, when they are putting their information in that virtual world, how can that can be protected from the cyber attacks? That is one of the major challenge. So another one challenge, it is a digital divide, right? How can we ensure that equitable access to metaverse technology? Because beyond the borders, beyond the barrier boundaries, we are accessing that metaverse. So that how can we do that? That is a new form of inequality will come, because which region people geographically, in which region people can access this type of technologies, which region people cannot access this type of technology. It is a very important thing. So that is a digital divide. So that is another one of the challenge in the metaverse. So another one is the content moderation. Content moderation, balancing the freedom of expression with the need to prevent harmful content. So because some of the users can create some harmful content in that virtual world. So that is another complex challenge. So again, interoperability, because there will be a lot of platforms which is used to create a metaverse world or virtual world. So there should be a technical hurdle how these integration should be happen. So these are the things. So now we look into what is metaverse governance, right? So because a lot of things, a lot of challenges which evolve from that regulations and that things, how this metaverse is created, how the people are communicated. So that is not defined very well. So that what is metaverse governance? Basically, when you are looking at metaverse governance, the metaverse governance basically refers to the framework of rules and policies and practices. So that regulate the behavior, interaction, and transactions within the metaverse. So whether the user is creating a data in the metaverse, or the user is using accessing the data in the metaverse, or people who are in the metaverse, their behavior, their interaction, their transaction. Sometimes they may be making some economical exchange. So there is no solid or definition rule or policy or practice for that. So that metaverse governance refers to this framework of rules, policies, and practices. So when that metaverse grows into a complex digital system, so millions of users every day, the number of users which they are using the metaverse is increasing. So same time, that the type of the metaverse governance or frameworks of rules and policies not yet developed so much. So if the metaverse governance is become essential, because of the reason every day the people, most of the people, or most of the applications, or most of the business domain, they are started using this metaverse. So there, that the proper governance or the proper regulations should be essential to ensure safety for everyone, whoever using the metaverse, whoever putting the data, or whoever generating the data, they are accessing this safety, fairness, and sustainability. So these are the three very important things which mainly depends upon that metaverse governance. So how we can do this? We can mainly, this involves balancing the interest of the various stakeholders. So in metaverse governance, metaverse, lot of stakeholders are there. So sometimes that may be a government, that may be a corporate companies, that may be a user which they are using the metaverse, and the developer who is developing and creating in the metaverse. So these all have some certain interest. So these all the interest, balancing all the interest, we should come with some frameworks or rules and policies. So that policies or frameworks, rules should address the privacy, security, and ethical concerns of the metaverse. So like just now we discussed about that problem with the data privacy and data security. So these are the things should be addressed that by the governance. So mainly, what is the definition and importance of metaverse governance? When we are looking into metaverse governance, so basically the metaverse governance encompasses that systems and structures that dictate how the virtual environments are managed and operated. So because there is no control on this virtual environment, then there is a lot of problems with this. So that there should be a system, there should be a structure to protect or to explain that how these environments are managed and operated. The governance should ensure that there should be a balance between user autonomy and the standards set by the community, because there is, whenever there is an application or there is a development, there will be community will come and play. So the community will set some certain standards, right? The standards set by the community and the user's autonomy should be having a balance. So that is very important in a thriving, when you are go for a thriving a digital ecosystem. So as the metaverse continues to expand rapidly, that effective governance is become very, very crucial. So when we are go with the metaverse governance, it addressing various challenges that we discussed just before, that security threats, privacy concerns, and protection of user rights, who can access the data, who cannot access the data, everything can be defined by this governance. So we need a robust governance frameworks which foster a safe and inclusive space for all the users, which promoting trust and engagement within the virtual communities. So that is the importance of the metaverse. Now we can understand the governance in the metaverse. So what are the key issues and how that governance will address these key issues? So in this slide, we will be discussing about what are the exploring the various key issues and what are the solution which the metaverse governance can make. So the very first thing is there is a lack of standardized regulations. Currently, the metaverse faces a significant challenge due to that absence of standardized regulation. There is no standard regulation for this standardization are not available. So this that should be come from the governance of the metaverse. So this lack of uniformity can lead to confusion, exploitation, potential breakdown in user trust. So it is very essential to establish clear guidelines, clear regulations. This is one of the important issue when one of the reason or one of the thing why we go for this governance or why we are understanding this governance. The another one important reason why we go for this governance is it is a potential for abuse and exploitation. So in an unregulated environment, so whatever the environment we are working or we are participating, or we are doing something or we are playing or gaming anything, if that environment is a regulated environment, it will be good. So if it is an unregulated environment, so it will be giving an opportunity for abusement, exploitation. So user may encounter scams, some harassment, unethical behavior. So this highlights the urgent need for to come with some governance frameworks, some governance framework. So another one of the issue which we are seeing this metaverse is intellectual property concerns, right? Because so many people participated or contributing to this virtual world, right? So the intellectual property rights are a significant concern in the metaverse, where the digital assets can be easily copied. So if we can easily copy the data or misuse the data or misuse that thing available which is available in this virtual world. So we need a strong governance which can help that creators or the users and their rights. The creator should have the full right on the data. So other users cannot copy the data. So that should be important. So that is the intellectual property concerns when we come with that metaverse. It will be ensure the rightful ownership is respected across the platforms. So there is a need for rules and regulation. Basically, whatever that thing, the governance structure, which is establishment of the governance structure, is vital for the metaverse. So it will be set some certain, it will create certain protocol. It will that protect the users and facilitate the fair interactions and promote the sustainable development of this metaverse. So so why is metaverse governance is important? So basically what we discussed just now. So it will be ensuring the safety and security. It protects the users from cyber threats, harassment, and fraud. Also, it promotes a fairness. It can be fairness means it can be ensured that all the participants can equally access that and that metaverse technologies. And it provides equal opportunities for all the participants who are participating in that virtual world, right? So that it encourages the innovation. It provides a stable environment for creators and developers to innovate. It builds trust, so establishes transparency and accountability, and it will be increasing the confidence of the users or creators. So when there's proper metaverse governance is there, also the finally it will be prevents the abusement. So it mitigates a risk like misinformation, get speech, and illegal activities. So these are the importance of the metaverse governance. So now we look into that what are the various stakeholders which they are involving in metaverse governance. So when they are developing or building the metaverse governance, so there are different stakeholders there. The first is the stakeholder is called as government, corporation. That corporation means the corporate companies or private companies or the industries which they are involving with that development of this metaverse. So that is the users who are using this particular thing, developers and creators, and finally the NGOs and advocacy groups. So you can see that what are the roles of different stakeholders in the metaverse governance. So first, when we are looking into the government, governments have a crucial responsibility in the governance of the metaverse. So because the government is the regulator, the government which is focusing on regulating activities, it will be creating certain rules or laws. It should be ensure compliance with the existing laws. So mainly that governments and regulation and rules come for to protect the user's rights and safety. It will be addresses the issues which we discussed in the previous slides, right? Data privacy. Also, it create a legal frameworks that support the innovation while safeguarding the public interest. So, what is the main role of this government is it will be establishing the legal frameworks, enforce regulation, and protect user rights. So, such as you can be hear about this type of General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, Digital Services Act. So there will be a lot of rules and regulations every year or every time all the country governments come with that. So whenever there is a problem, they will come with certain regulations and frameworks or act or law. This will be created by the government. Similarly, the governments and regulation which play a role in the metaverse governance is to make a legal frameworks, because they can only make a legal framework, right? So next one is the corporation and self-regulation. The corporations means the companies or the industries people who are developing the metaverse platforms. They should set the community guidelines. So how can we access the particular platform, or what is the credential, what is the eligibility, or what is the rules and regulations. So these type of things can be set by these corporations. So that is called as a self-regulation. Also, how can moderate the contents in the particular meta. You basically, if you go with that Facebook or Meta, so there will be a lot of terms and conditions will be there. So this will be called it as a Meta's community standards. So when we go with that another one metaverse platform, which is called as a Decentraland, so there is a concept called as DAO. That is a Decentraland Autonomous Organization. That is a DAO. So that will be providing certain community guidelines. So these are the role of the corporations and the industries which they are involving in the developing the platforms, metaverse platforms. Next, when we come to the users and community governance, so users are the main player in that when we are framing a governance. The users are the lifeblood of the metaverse. So they are actively engaging with the virtual world because they only contributing the content, they will be using the content, they will be experiencing that reality actually what happened in the virtual world. So they are making enhancing the overall experience in the metaverse or virtual world, right? Their interactions shape the community and culture of this platform. So highlighting the importance of the user feedback. So user has to have the option to provide the feedback to the system again, the platform again. Based on the feedback of the users, it will be guide the developers who would create or develop the metaverse platform towards creating a better environments, right? So mainly the user's role is participate in decision making, particular problem or particular issue or particular rule formation. So they will be participating in the decision making and provide the feedback and shape the metaverse culture. So the one of the example which called as decentralized autonomous organization or DAOs. The next two stakeholders called as developers and creators. The developers, is it audible? Any issues with anybody?
It's audible, sir. No problem.
Okay, fine, thank you. The developers and creators, the developers play a vital role in a metaverse because they are creating and maintaining the various platforms that users interact with. They are responsible for ensuring that these metaverse platforms are functional, engaging with the users, and secure and provide more security. Everything functional, engaging. At the same time, the platform should be more secure. So then only that more number of users or the more number of participants will be engaging with the particular platform. So that is the main role of the developers which involved in creating a metaverse. So the role of the developers and creators which they are developing the metaverse, they are building the metaverse, they are creating the metaverse, they are developing the metaverse. Also they should ensure that functionality of the particular metaverse platform, also this particular platform whether provides that engaging experience to the user or not. Also it should check they should check that security of the particular platform. Also they ensure the interoperability and among the different platforms. Also whether these platform can adhere to the standards which set by that governments or certain corporations or community guidelines. So look on this is called as open metaverse interoperability group. So this is one of the that you can check with that meta platform, right? So open metaverse interoperability group. So they are that one of the example for this developer and creator. The final one is called as NGOs. So NGOs you may know about that. Otherwise it is called as advocacy groups. So mainly these people are mainly advocate that ethical practices, inclusivity and user rights of a particular platform. Such an examples are World Economic Forum because mainly the economic activities which happen in the metaverse, right, in the virtual world. So that World Economic Forum sets certain guidelines. So how can you use that? What is that currency? Which currency you can use in that metaverse platform? What is that? How you can exchange with other people, and how can you avail that like a traditional economic thing? So the World Economic Forum will set these type of things for that metaverse world. Electronic Frontier Foundation. So likewise, different advocacy groups are there. This is these are two examples which are related to these NGOs and advocacy groups. So these are the different stakeholders. So basically, we can see that the governments, which set the rules and regulation, and mainly law, which will be produced from the developer, the governments, and the corporation, they will be setting the community guidelines. The users, which they are involving in that or participating in that, they should provide a feedback. They should actively participate in that decision-making system of that metaverse platform. Developers also contributing to developing the particular platform based on the requirements from the users, and the NGOs and advocacy groups. So these are the major stakeholders which make the metaverse governance very lively and possible, and address all the issues which we have discussed in the previous slides. So next we can discuss about what the main core components of metaverse governance, because metaverse governance now as such of now you maybe understand that the metaverse governance is very much important, very much needed, because everyone we are started using metaverse every day. The number of users who use the metaverse is increasing. All the business companies or business concerns, they are started using the metaverse. So also it will be a multi-trillion dollar business. Currently that economy things will be happen in the metaverse. So mainly the what are the key components which make the metaverse governance, not like metaverse, what are the key components which make the metaverse governance is, these are the first one is the rule making. So mainly governance deals with the rules and regulation, right? So that is the rule making is one of the first component in metaverse governance. So whenever we go look into the metaverse governance, we can check that what are the rules, what are the policies, guidelines and standards for user behavior, content creation and transaction in the particular metaverse platform. The example community guidelines, like a meta community guidelines, terms of services of a particular platform, content moderated policy, because we cannot do that content moderation as per our wish in the any metaverse platform. So there is some policies will be there. That policy will be explained that what is that content moderation policies. So this is the first component, core component in the metaverse governance. That is the rule making. So it establishing policies, guidelines, and standards for user behavior, content creation, and transactions. When we go second component is called as enforcement. So once these policies, guidelines, standards, everything has been created, so they have to ensure that these policies and these things are compliant with the whether that particular users are following these policies or using these policies, or whether they are bypass these policies or rules and regulations. So that should be ensuring the compliance with the rules. Through how can they do this? Through monitoring, reporting, and putting some banality to the user. So example, there will be currently so many AI moderation tools are there. These tools will be identify that what will be happen, whether the contents are moderated in the particular metaverse platform, correct properly with respect to that guidelines and user reporting system, and they can ban the particular user for if the user has violated anything. So this is the enforcement. Next one is the next component in the metaverse governance is called as dispute resolution. So if there is anything happen, any problem or any conflicts arises between the users or between the users and the metaverse platform, so there should be arbitration system should be there. So that is a dispute resolution mechanisms. So the mechanism which used to resolve the conflicts which occur between users and that platforms and between the users also. So that is they are called as mediators, or they maybe call it as decentralized courts. So these are the third component of the metaverse governance. The fourth component of the metaverse governance is resource allocation, because particular metaverse platform having certain land, certain assets, certain currency. How can we distribute these lands, virtual resources, lands, assets, currency to that many users? So there should be action, there should be a grants, there should be centralized organizer based funding, that is a DAO based funding. So that also happen. So there is that resource allocation, innovation and development. So innovation and development is the fifth very important component in the metaverse governance. So it encouraging and regulating the creation of new content, because already once the metaverse platform has been created, so the policy which says that we cannot modify the content, we cannot create new content, means it will be difficult to making new features or again including the new technologies in the particular metaverse platform. So that particular metaverse platform should be have the option or have the ability to creation of new content. After the creation, after the development of the metaverse platform, they have that policies, or they have that way to create a new content, features and technologies. For examples, they can have certain developer guidelines. the developer has go through the guidelines. They can understand that how can we develop these, how can we modify this content, how can we can generate the new content. Also the interoperability standards, open source initiatives, because a lot of open source software you may be used currently, right? So that what are the different open source initiatives for this metaverse platform. So that also another one key component, that is the innovation and development. So these are the five core key components in metaverse governance. The first one is the rule making, second one is the enforcement of the particular rules, third one is the dispute resolution, fourth one is the resource allocation, fifth one is the innovation and development. So these are the key components of the metaverse governance. Next, we can see that structure of the metaverse governance. What are the different structures in the metaverse governance? So there are mainly there are three different governance structures are there. So one is called as centralized governance. So another one is called as decentralized governance. Third one is called as hybrid governance. So first we will be looking to the centralized governance. So centralized governance means it will be it is controlled. The particular metaverse platform is controlled by a single entity, whether it may be a government or whether it may be a corporate company. Anyway, it may be a single entity. They are used to do said that they are setting that single entity. They are typically a corporation. For example, we are very familiar with the Meta, right? That is at Facebook. Another one is called as Roblox. So these are called as centralized governance metaverse platforms. So here, what will be happen? That what are the advantage and disadvantage of this particular centralized governance metaverse platform? Efficient decision making and implementation, because there is only one single entity which controls this platform, so they can easily take a decision for any issues happen or any new things they want to implement, everything possible. So because it is a efficient decision making. Also there is a strong content moderation and user protection, because there's a single entity which monitors everything, so they can protect the users. They can strong content moderation also possible. But what are the drawbacks of this centralized governance is user cannot give their own feedback to the system. So they, because the single entity which play a role for all the things, so the users participation in the governing that particular metaverse platform is less. So there is a one of the drawback of this centralized governance is limited user participation in governance. So also there is a risk of bias and lack of transparency, because you can think about that the single corporate company which define everything means there is a chance for more chance for bias. The more chance also it will not transparent to everyone. So they may be more commercial oriented or more business oriented things may be happen when this is centralized governance. So this is one of the structure which is available in the metaverse governance. The second one is called as decentralized governance. So it's very important one. So currently, a lot of metaverse platforms come with this type of structure, decentralized governance, because this decentralized governance mainly powered by the technology blockchain. Also, a lot of it encourages that users which they are involving in the particular metaverse, they can participate in that forming these regulations or rules for framing the framework of governance. So example of these will be decentral and sandbox. So these are the meta platforms mainly following that decentralized governance. The one of the advantage of this decentralized governance is transparent, because all the users can actively participate and framing the structure, so they can everyone knows everything. That is transparent. Also, it will be called like a democratic decision making, not like a centralized one, because it is a efficient decision making. But what happened? It is a single entity decision making, so there is a less chance for transparency. But in a decentralized governance, there is a more chance for transparency. There is a lot of transparent will be there, more democratic way they are making a decision, because all the users they are actively participating when they are framing this governance. Also it empowers the users and creators, because it supports or it encourages the users and creators to actively participate. So that is one of the main advantage of this decentralized governance. But one of the drawbacks which when we are seeing this decentralized governance, scalability and efficiency challenge. So we cannot make this into the large community. So when it will be a large community, it will be difficult. So that is the scalability and efficiency challenges will be there. Also, it requires technical knowledge for participation, because the people who are participating or who are doing that decision making process, they should aware of these things. Otherwise, how can they participate? How can they do that? So they require the technical knowledge for participation. The next structure, which will be called it as a hybrid governance. It combines the centralized and decentralized elements. So you can think about that. Centralized, you know that single entity. The decentralized, users can participate in the decision making. So hybrid governance is combination of centralized and decentralized elements. It is a platform with corporate oversight and community feedback mechanism. So that there is a community will be there. in the community. Through the community, user can send their feedback to that corporate. Through that feedback, the corporate will consider the feedback of the users. They can tune the system based on that, tune the framework based on that. So this is the one of the advantage of this hybrid governance is it balances the efficiency with user empowerment, because mainly the user also participating in this governance, but the user is not 100% user decision will not come here, but anyway users engagement also possible in this hybrid governance. So it will be adaptable to different needs and context, because different users come with the different needs and context. So that can also be considered when they are making a particular framework of structure or regulation. But what is the problem with this government hybrid governance? It is complex to implement and manage. It's very difficult because one side corporate people has to accept that need of and context of the user. Same time the user has to accept that the policy the corporate come with that. So there is a potential conflict. Lot of conflicts happen between the stakeholders, either government and the corporate company, or the corporate company and the users, or the users and the developers. So there are a lot of chance for the conflicts between the stakeholders. So this is the third structure, main dominant structure currently the Metaverse governance is using. So just now we have discussed about the different structure of the governance structure in the Metaverse: centralized governance, decentralized, and the hybrid governance. So next week will be look on that essential frameworks of Metaverse governance. Essential frameworks of the Metaverse governance. So the Metaverse governance frameworks are the foundational structure and systems that ensure that Metaverse operates in a safe, fair, and sustainable manner. So mainly this framework, why this framework? These frameworks mainly address the critical issues that we discussed previous slides, right? User rights, content moderation, privacy, security, and economic transactions. So everything should be have the issue. Everything we are having the issue in the Metaverse world, right? So these frameworks, there are different frameworks are there. The first one is called as legal and regulatory frameworks, ethical framework, technological frameworks, economic frameworks, social and community frameworks. So these are the some more frameworks are available, but these are the main frameworks which are related to that Metaverse governance, right? So first we will be discuss one by one detail. In legal and regulatory frameworks, the main purpose of this will be that it establishes the laws and regulation. Mainly it will be legal and regulatory. So it will be producing laws, producing regulation that govern the behavior, govern the user's behavior, use of interactions, and user transactions in the Metaverse. The main purpose of this legal regulatory frameworks is it will be establishing the laws and regulation that govern the behavior, interaction, and transactions in the Metaverse. So what are the key? There are key components in this legal and regulatory frameworks. The first one is the data privacy and protection. So how the data is collected, how the data is stored, how the users are using the data, particular data with responsibility. So these are the things comes in this data privacy and protection. For example, there is a regulation called as General Data Protection Regulation. In short time, it will be called as GDPR. Similarly, in a state of USA, California, they are come with the California Consumer Privacy Act. In India also, recently they come with some data privacy laws, right? Privacy Act. So similarly, all the countries or particular state, they come with some protections and frameworks. So these are the data privacy and protection. So similarly, the consumer protection, so the safeguards user from the frauds and scams and fair practice. So Digital Services Acts, Consumer Rights Directive, intellectual property rights, taxation and economic regulation. So this is very important. Intellectual property rights. Currently, a lot of researchers are coming. Research will be coming in this area in Metaverse, blockchain-based NFTs, smart contracts. So they are protecting the ownership and copyright of the digital assets, right? So that blockchain-based NFT is the latest area. Currently, the people focusing on the research in the Metaverse. Taxation and economic regulations. It governs the virtual economies and transactions. So how this virtual economy is produced? How you can now also you can check within the Metaverse in that the Google, like any virtual economy, like in one of the framework we will discuss today is that Decentraland. In the Decentraland, there is a token called as mana. So what is the mana? One mana is equal to how much rupees? That will be everything. That is the policies, how they are launching into that market, virtual market. So that will be everything will be comes into this taxation and economic regulations. So anti-money laundering laws. So a lot of things comes into this framework. The next one is the technological framework. The technological framework is very easy to understand, right? Because the technical infrastructure and standards which is necessary for making this Metaverse functional and secure. So that is that. So a lot of technologies, not only these technologies, there are different technologies are there. One of the technologies called as blockchain technology. So currently blockchain technology involving more into this Metaverse platform, basically AI, cloud computing, and interoperability standards. So these are the important technological framework. So when you go into the detail, so like a lot of blockchain, Ethereum, Polygon, other blockchain platforms, like different blockchain platforms are there. Some AI-driven moderation tools, because we previously I discussed, right? AI-driven moderation tools, because these tools are very much important, because particular user or particular people or a particular person may moderate the data in that metaverse platform. So that can be identified easily by the AI-driven moderation tools. Virtual assistants, cloud computing, lot of cloud service providers are there. Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, lot of cloud services are there. Interoperability standards, it ensures seamless movement of data across different metaverse platforms, different data across different platforms. So there should be some standards we need. That is will be called as Open Metaverse Interoperability Group, Universal Scene Description. So these are the different technological frameworks. The next we will be discuss about that economic frameworks. These economic frameworks mainly look on how these virtual economies, how these sustainable economic practices happen in this virtual world. So what is that key components? There are different key components in the economic frameworks. One is called as virtual currencies and cryptocurrencies. So already I discussed, right? Mana in Decentraland, Sandbox, you can call it as a virtual currency and the cryptocurrency as a sand. So it will be facilitate one mana or one sand equal to particular amount of dollar or particular amount of rupees, which will be facilitate the transactions within the metaverse. That is the virtual currencies and cryptocurrency. Then monetization models. In this monetization model, describe that how the users and creators can earn and spend the money in the virtual world. So how can they purchase the app in that particular meta virtual world? How can they subscribe the particular app? How they generating the ad based revenue? So everything can be defined by this monetization model. So in the economic frameworks of the metaverse, which will be discussed in these things. Next one, economic policies. So it mainly these policies mainly governs the inflation, taxation, and wealth distribution in the not a real economy, in the virtual economies. So for example, the central bank digital currencies, virtual taxation policies, all which come into the economic frameworks. Then social and community frameworks. So it will be making more equitable access to every user, inclusivity. So the inclusive community culture within the metaverse. So mainly the yes,
Sir,
madam.
excuse me, sir. Your slide is not moving, sir.
Oh, right, madam, right. Which slide you are seeing, madam?
Yeah, it's okay now, sir.
Okay. Now it's clear, madam. Now it is visible, madam. Madam,
Sir,
is it visible now?
it's okay now, sir.
Okay, madam. Please let me know, madam, any issues there. Okay, social and community frameworks. It mainly discuss about that community guidelines. How that community means the people or the users who are particularly using that metaverse platform. So it sets the rules for acceptable behavior and content. So for example, when we are using the Meta's platform like a Facebook and all, there will be called as Meta's community standards, Roblox content guidelines, user participation and feedback. It will be encourage the users to participate in the governance creation and provide the feedback. So, for example, decentralized and autonomous organization (DAOs), community forums, and surveys. So, these are the things comes under the social and community frameworks. Finally, the conflict resolution mechanisms. So, these resolution mechanisms provide the system for resolving the disputes and conflicts. So, some mediation, arbitration, decentralized courts, everything comes under this social community frameworks. So, the finally that one is called as ethical frameworks. The ethical frameworks, it ensures the metaverse operates in the manner that is ethical, inclusive, and respectful of user rights. So mainly this ethical framework component, when you are looking into the components of the ethical frameworks, the main component is called as digital citizenship. So it defines that normal we are having a citizenship, right? Similarly, in the similarly the virtual world, there should be a citizenship called as digital citizenship. So it defines the rights and responsibility of the metaverse users. So rights to privacy in the virtual world, freedom of expression in the virtual world, protection from the harassment in the virtual world. So all these things comes under ethical frameworks. Also, another one core component in the ethical framework is inclusivity and accessibility. It ensures that metaverse is accessible to all, regardless of whether they are in which country, which state, or which place, or which currency they are using, which transaction they are doing. Other than regardless of physical or economic barriers, they can be provided. These frameworks will be have the options of inclusivity and accessibility. It will be affordable access, assistive technology for disabled users. So finally, it will be also looking into the mental health and well-being of the users. It addresses the issues like addiction. Some people maybe get addicted, more addicted when we are started using this metaverse platform and all. Cyberbullying and psychological impact of virtual environment. So these all things should be, this ethical framework should monitor, or the component, the ethical framework component should be look on this. Time limits, mental health resources, support system. So everything comes under these ethical frameworks. So these are the different frameworks which use make the metaverse governance in a full structure. Next, we will be discuss that things what I have explained in the initially. There is a challenges in the lot of challenges in the metaverse, right? So now we can see that challenges in detail. The regulatory challenges. The metaverse presents a lot of regulatory challenges because of its nature, because of its feature like immersive, decentralized, and global nature. So there, these are the features of the metaverse. Due to this feature, it has some regulatory challenges. So the governments, corporations, and other stakeholders must provide a solution for these challenges. So we can see what are the different challenges in the metaverse governance actually. So these are the challenges in the metaverse governance: lack of universal standards, jurisdictional complexity, data privacy and security, content moderation. These are some of the things already we discussed, right? So I don't want to discuss again once again, but just you can see that jurisdictional complexity. Some of the things we did not discuss previously. This is the one we did not discuss. The jurisdictional complexity means the metaverse operates across the borders. There is no border for metaverse world, so making it difficult to determine which law or which regulation they have to follow. For example, one of the user in one country interacts with the user in another country on the platform that is hosted in a third country. So there is a conflicting laws happen. First country have one law, second country have another one law, third country have another one law. So which law they have to follow? So this is a conflicting laws on the data privacy, content moderation, and taxation. So what is the potential solution for this jurisdictional complexity is international collaboration to create a unified standard. Nowadays you can see that some of the countries they are making some collaboration, India, France, or India, Australia, India, US. So for certain things they are making a policy and formulating. Likewise, they have to make that international collaboration to create a unified standard for using this meta world or virtual world. So that should be clear terms of service outlining applicable jurisdiction. So otherwise, there should not be any clarity on this jurisdictional complexity. This data privacy and data security already we discussed, right? So because mainly the data privacy and data security, which we discuss about that the user data, protecting the user data in the virtual environment, because vast amounts of personal information are collected in this meta world. So there is a more chance for data breaches. Sometimes unauthorized people can access the data, other user information. So surveillance and tracking of user behavior, how they are behaving, any harmful activities happen. So these all should be the challenge for the metaverse. So the potential solution for this data privacy and all, we need a strong encryption and decentralized identity system, compliance with data protection laws, because how they are collected the data, how they are process the data, how they are access the data, everything should be compliance with the data protection laws like GDPR, CCPA, like different law. Next one, content moderation. Content moderation basically discuss about that balancing freedom of expression. So for example, in the virtual world, if there is no regulation or no control on how the users are express their views and things, so there's a chance for hate speech, harassment, illegal activity in virtual environments. So difficulty in moderating user generated content is the scale. So that is the problem with the scalability, right? So what are the potential solution for this content moderation is AI driven moderation tools. So that already we discussed, right? Community reporting mechanism, that will be report to that particular regulator about the illegal activity of the user, how illegal things of the happen in the particular virtual world. So it should clear guidelines and policies for acceptable behavior in the virtual world. So that is that next one. So the intellectual property rights already we discussed. That is the blockchain based NFTs and smart contracts for the proof of ownership. So mainly these intellectual property rights mainly ensuring the ownership and copyrights of the digital assets. Next one, the taxation and economic regulation, that also we discussed previously. regulating the virtual economy and ensuring the fair taxation of virtual goods, services, and transaction, preventing money laundering and fraud in virtual economies and virtual world. It should provide the clear guidelines and how can we put the taxation on the virtual asset, how can we prevent that anti-money laundering process, regulations. Another challenge we are seeing in metaverse governance is consumer protection. How we can protect that to safeguard the users from the fraud, scams, and unfair practices. For example, sometimes there is a fraudulent transaction happen or scams happen in the virtual marketplace. It may be some misleading advertisements they will be put it into the meta world. So some practices, deceptive practices will be happen. So the potential solution for this is there should be a the metaverse governance should have a consumer protection laws and regulation. Also, it should have a transparent policies and user education. So they have to educate the user who they are using this particular metaverse platform for a safe practices. The next one is called as ethical concerns. So addressing that ethical issues like addiction, mental health, exploitation. So sometimes the people get more addicted, more things, exploitation maybe happen. So there should be ethical guidelines and policies for platform operators and users also. They should have a resources and support system when they are have addiction with this virtual environment or some problem with the mental health. So that should be happen. So next one is that called a digital divide. So that is that equitable access. Already I explained that in ensuring the equitable access to the metaverse technology. So for example, VR AR devices, unequal access to the VR AR devices, and high speed internet, economic barriers to participation in the metaverse. These are the examples which shows the digital divide. Because what is the main intention objective of the metaverse governance is equal access to all the participants or all the users which they are involving in that.
Excuse me, sir.
Someone is mic is on, I think.
Sir? Sir,
Someone
your
mic.
slide is not changing, sir.
Which slide you are in, madam? Now it is okay, madam.
Sir,
Now
it's
moving,
on
madam.
slide number 41, sir.
31. Okay, now you can check, madam, whether it's moving. Not. Otherwise, I will once again share the screen, madam. Otherwise, it's sometime. Now is it okay, madam? Please check. Now it is okay.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Next challenge which we are seeing in that next challenge we are seeing in this metaverse world is interoperability and standards. So the metaverse governance should ensure that the seamless movement of assets, identities, and data across the platforms, because there are different metaverse platforms are there. They should be have the exchange. They should have the mechanism. How can they exchange the data with the other metaverse platform? How can they exchange the assets with other metaverse platform? So, for example, fragmentation and lack of interoperability between different metaverse platforms. This is one of the examples. The metaverse governance should provide this type of interoperability standards. Difficult in creating a unified standards because there is no proper governance frameworks are available for creating a unified standards for different platforms how they are using. Next one is how can we do this is we have to develop the interoperability protocols and global standards, collaboration between different metaverse platform developer, different regulators. So this is the only way we can create these things. The next one is called as the environmental impact of. This is another one of the issue when we are looking into the metaverse. So the metaverse governance should consider these challenges also. When we are this is a challenge, reducing the environmental impact of the metaverse technologies. So for example, when we are using a blockchain technology or data cloud computing data centers or VR AR devices, so there is a high energy consumption happen. A lot of electronic waste will be come from VR AR devices. So this will be impact to the environment. So this is one of the challenge. So So how can we do this? Is we can do the green blockchain initiatives and energy efficient data centers, sustainable practices, and eco-friendly hardware making. So these are possible to reduce this. Next one, overall the regulatory frameworks. How can they can do come with these regulatory frameworks when they are framing a new metaverse governance frameworks? They should be look onto that existing laws. Mainly, there are so many existing laws depend upon the countries they have. So they have to look on all the countries' existing laws. For example, general data protection regulation. It will be protect the user data in the European Union. California Consumer Privacy Act. It will be ensure the data privacy in California state. Digital Services Act. It will be regulates the online platforms in the European Union. So these are the existing laws. The proposed law should be very specific to the metaverse platform, metaverse specific regulation to address the unique challenges, global collaboration to create a unified standard that we already discussed, right? Self-regulation, like decentralized platforms, like Decentraland, Roblox, that uses a decentralized autonomous organization and community guidelines for governance. So these are so that are the regulatory frameworks. The next one will be look on to the metaverse governance case studies. There will be a lot of metaverse platforms are there. Here I am showing or looking into the three top level or main metaverse platforms. One will be called as Decentraland, another one will be called as Roblox, another one will be called as Meta. Meta is a Facebook. So now we can see each of the metaverse platform in detail with respect to the governance part. So not we are looking into other part, we are only looking into the governance part. Decentraland, the Decentraland platform, the governance model is a decentralized autonomous organization. So the name itself is having, it is a decentralized nature. So whenever the decentralization came, you can think about the blockchain based technology will come into play. So the blockchain based virtual world, here the user, what is the main nature of this metaverse platform is the user can buy, sell and build on virtual lands. So they will use some economical currency for buying and selling and building this virtual land. So the governance structure, mainly we are discussing here is governance structure, what will be happen in this decentralized. So mainly the governance structure here is DAO based governance. So here the users who are participating in that Decentraland metaverse platform, they have the token called as mana. So this token, one mana will be equal to certain number of dollars and certain number of rupees. So which grant voting rights on the platform decisions. So if the particular participants have that certain number of mana token, it giving the granting the voting permission also to the users. So proposals are submitted and voted on by the community. So mainly they are using these mana tokens for exchanging or buying or selling the virtual lands. Same time, the users who are holding this mana token, they can put a vote for making some particular decisions on the platform. Also, the proposals are submitted and voted by the community base. So another one thing here, another one governance structure we are seeing in this metaverse platform is decentralized decision making. The decision which includes platform upgrades, policy changes, and funding for projects, everything, all these decisions only through that putting the voting mechanism. So all the users which they are having in the mana token, they will participate in this voting process. They will support that. Some people not support that. So based on the major voting, the decision will be taken place in this. So when we are looking into this Decentraland metaverse platform, the governance structure is DAO based governance. Otherwise, it is the decision making structure will be called as decentralized decision making. So what are the successes when we are looking into this Decentraland metaverse platform is all transactions and decisions are recorded on the blockchain, ensuring the transparency to the users. Every users can transparently see that what happened in the particular platform. Also, users have a direct voice. They can directly say anything because they have the voting rights. It encourages the creativity and experimentation through user generated content. User can generate the content, they can use their creativity and generate the content. So these are the advantage or the success of this platform. But what are the problem with this platform is low voter turnout. Many users do not participate in the governance because sometimes thousands of users will use the particular platform, but only 10 or 100 of users will be participate in the governance. So the many users do not participate in the governance. It will be leading to the decision made by the small group. So that is one of the challenge. Another one of the challenge is scalability. As the platform grows, the managing a decentralized very difficult. 1 lakh participants, which it will be very difficult to manage the system. So we collecting the 1 lakh people, what everything, it will be very difficult. Technical barriers is another one challenge in this platform. The users need to understand the blockchain technology because Everything depends upon the backend technology in this platform, because decentralized autonomous organization, blockchain based virtual world. The next case study we are looking into is called as Robolux. The Robolux governance model is called as corporate led with community guidelines. You can see that corporate led with community guidelines. The corporate is the industry or organization. So the gaming it is mainly a gaming platform. So here a lot of young users can create and play games using this metaverse platform. So what is the structure when we are seeing this structure, governance structure of this metaverse platform is corporate control. Roblox Corporation sets the rule. So the company which owns this Roblox metaverse platform, they set the rules, policies, and community guidelines. For example, they can set the rule for content moderation, they can set the rule for user behavior policy, they can set the regulation for monetization rule, everything set by the corporate. So we can call it as a corporate control. But user feedback, but users can report their issues and provide the feedback. But we cannot assure that corporate will consider that feedback given by the user or not, because the decision making remains centralized. That is the corporate one. The reporting inappropriate content or suggesting new feature, so everything possible. The users can send their report, send their feedback through their community. The corporate will consider that things. Some cases may not be considered this. So what are the success of this particular platform? Governance structure success. We are only discussing about the governance part, right? So the success of this particular governance is there is a strict moderation, ensures a safe space for young users. So because there will be corporate-led community guidelines, so users cannot do or create anything they want to put into that. Ease of use, centralized governance simplifies decision making and implementation. Because centralized governance, only the company which decides what they want, they put into the role. Creators can monetize their games, fostering innovation. Challenges, main challenges is users have little say in platform governance. So because users can report their error, report their feedback, but they cannot say more in that platform governance. Balancing the freedom of expression with safety is challenging. That is that content moderation issues will be there in this platform also. So depends upon the corporation. Some corporation, they will be fully commercialized. They want to make the platform fully commercialized. Some corporation, they don't want to like that. So depends upon the corporation that it will be played. So the third case study is the final case study we are looking into in this session. Meta or Horizon Worlds. In the older name, it will be called as Horizon Worlds. Now it is called as Meta. Otherwise, we know about this as a Facebook, right? So Meta Horizon Worlds, the governance model is centralized with user feedback mechanism. It is a social VR platform. This is a platform we know very much, right? So most of the people we are using this platform. There we can meet, play, and create together. So what is the governance structure in this platform? It is a centralized control. Meta, formerly Facebook, that sets the rules and regulation for this platform. Example: community standards, content moderation, and user safety policies. User feedback: user can report the issues and suggestion improvement, but the control remain on the central. That is a Meta retains the control over the decision. So it is like this one, Roblox. That reporting harassment or suggesting new features, everything possible. Sometimes some fake account has been created in our name, so immediately we can report. But similarly, the control will be on the Meta. So what are the successes we are seeing here is AI and human moderator ensure a safe environment. Centralized governance simplifies the user experience. So rapid development, because Meta's resources enable quick implementation of new features, because it is like a corporate setup, right? So they can implement new features immediately. What are the different challenges when you are looking into this? This will be privacy concerns, users of Meta's data collection, because all the users data Meta is collecting. So that is the problem with the privacy, because whether our privacy, our photos, our data will be safe with that Meta or not, that is a problem. Lack of decentralization, there is no decentralization. Users have limited control over the platform interaction. Ethical issues, concerns about the addiction and mental health impact, because a lot of people spending so much of time on this particular platform, so that will be the addiction and mental health impact. So these are the challenges in this platform. So now when we are putting a comparative analysis of these three metaverse platforms with respect to the governance, you can consider the Decentraland, Roblox, Meta Horizon. In the governance model, it is a DAO based Centraland. The governance model is DAO based. It is a corporate led. It is a centralized with feedback. Strength is transparent, community driven. That already we discussed, right? Lower voter turnout, limited user participation. But in the Meta Horizon, the problem is privacy, data privacy, lack of decentralization. Okay, what are the insights we are getting from this case study is, what are the insights we are getting from this case study is, we need to balance this in our governance structure. We need to balance this centralization and decentralization. Centralized models are efficient but lack the user empowerment. Decentralized models are transparent but they face the scalability challenges. So when the number of users increases, the decentralized model is very difficult. It will become unstable because the scalability is the problem in a decentralized model. Another one important thing when we are structuring the metaverse governance is importance of user participation. Engaging users in the governance fosters the trust and innovation. So because what it says is the centralized models are efficient, but the problem with the centralized models is there is no role of users. So need for ethical frameworks. So ethical framework should address that. Already we discussed different frameworks, right? One of the framework we discussed is called as ethical frameworks. That ethical framework is addressing the privacy, security, mental health is critical. Also we need a global collaboration because we have see the what is that digital divide. So the problem with we discuss is digital divide. So we need come with a unified standards and regulation, otherwise we cannot avoid the digital divide problem. That is the problem. So that end part of today's session, coming to that, the future of metaverse governance. The future of metaverse governance will be shaped by technological advancement because every day we are come with the new technologies. So users also evolving the user expectation. Users are come with more expectation. Also, the need for global collaboration. So currently, the metaverse is grows into a multi-trillion-dollar economy. The governance framework must adapt to ensure that three things. These three things already we discussed several times in the session: safety, fairness, and sustainability. So these are the key trends and predictions in the futures of metaverse governance. One is that increasing the decentralization. So that is very important because centralized control governance structure is not like good. We need to increase the decentralization in our governance structure. AI-driven governance is important because we need to include the AI tools for content moderation, a lot of things, global collaboration, enhanced user rights, unified standards, ethical and inclusive governance, sustainable practices, enhancing the security measures, economic innovation, user-centric governance. So these are the trends we need to include, or these are the predictions we are making when we are framing a new metaverse governance. So these all things I explain in detail. So just you can I already I shared the slides. You can just go through that. So I think only 5 more minutes are there. So we'll be come to the day. Right. So the global collaborations, enhanced user rights, unified standards, ethical and inclusive games, sustainable practice, enhanced security, economic innovation is. So now we end of the today's session. That what are the main key takeaways you can see from this today's session is. So what is the importance of governance, metaverse governance? The metaverse governance is crucial for establishing trust and accountability in virtual environments. So then only lot people will get into this virtual environment. Otherwise, some people will not look into that. So that is the importance of the metaverse governance. Also, we discuss about the different governance models. So we have discussed about the decentralized governance model. We discuss about the hybrid approaches. We discuss about the top-down management. That is that corporate led management. So what are the different significant implications of these type of governance? So how the decisions are made on the metaverse. So also we discuss about the different framework components. Governance frameworks must include legal, technological, community, and economic elements. So we discuss about the legal framework. We discuss about that technological frameworks, community frameworks, economic frameworks. Also, we discussed that different roles of the stakeholders. For example, governments, users, developers, creators, NGOs, and advocacy groups. So empowering communities. So community engagement and tools like DAOs and smart contracts empower users in governance. Future trends also we discussed, but we did not discuss in detail. So, but we just discuss about what are the different future trends will be there. So these trends indicate a shift towards greater inclusion, greater regulation, sustainability in the governance model. So finally, we all come together and shape the future of the metaverse governance. So currently, the metaverse governance not yet shaped it perfectly. So we can explore different frameworks, different strategies, and make our digital interaction for a better